Good evening. We are back live doing Phandelver and below. This is the Clay Golem. Welcome aboard. Good evening, Igla. Can I just get a double check you can hear me, because I don't trust YouTube. It had just shat its pants and done horrible weird things, and it turned everything off for me, as it does, and logged me out and wouldn't let me back in, and fun things like that it does. Yay, brilliant, good stuff. All right, so what are we doing tonight, apart from taking a sip of juice before we even start? Right, we are doing, if we go into our scenes, we were up doing Thunder Tree, weren't we? That's where we were. But we're actually going to segue a little bit before we do that. I want to jump back to Cragmore Castle, because one of the things I hadn't done is, if you remember when we were doing this, I chucked in the doppelganger, which of course it's a doppelganger. It's in the guise of what was her name? Yelith, Verith. So I have just chucked in an image there. Okay, so a couple of bits like that I did, just to bring those in, and we had a couple of items that we needed. We needed images for, tiny jeweled box and things like that. So I did do a couple of bits off screen, just bringing images in. Really not very exciting at all, but obviously just sitting there watching me find images and stuff, that's not very interesting. But what I do want to do in the last session, apart from us building Thunder Tree out, which we've got all the walls and everything in, and we made a start on the actual locations, but we haven't we brought in a few of the twig blights and things, and that's kind of it. We did bring in a couple of mods. We bought in the dice tray at the bottom there, and we bought in dice and ice. Way, there we go. Now I do want to add on a couple of additional mods for this, and so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take you through what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So I'm going to jump out to my setup. Now, two things I want to do mod wise and install, and if you've never installed mods before, again, and I've said it several times, I say it all the time, is don't install a mod unless you know what it is and what it's doing and why you need it. I've already installed JB2A, and so if you're not going, well, what the heck is that? I've got the Patreon version, but there is a completely free version as well. JB2A is basically a huge library of different animations. So because it's a huge library, it takes ages to install. I did that outside of this. Okay, if you want to install a module, we go to install module, and then you have a look and you find what it is you want to install. We're going to install a couple of different things here. We are going to install the combat tracker. Don't know why we had a big pause there. Carousel combat tracker by the Ripper. So I'm just going to click install, and you can see in the background that did stuff. That's it, it's installed. Now the reason I want that one is because it just makes combat much easier. Remember, this is aimed at brand new players. It makes it much easier for them to see what's happening, and understand kind of order of initiative and things like that. There is the built-in tracker in Foundry. It's not brilliant. It's certainly not pretty. So that's just going to help us do that. Now another one I want to install, because this game has started now, and every single player has played Baldur's Gate 3. So in this instance, I'm also going to bring in the BG3 inspired HUD, because for those individuals, regardless of whether they are new to D&D, some of them are brand new, some of them have played a little bit, etc. If they've all played Baldur's Gate, it's going to make their life a bit easier to kind of use the interface, because it's going to be familiar to them. Now notice, if you do try and install a mod and it requires a dependency, it will pop up and ask you if you want to do that yourself or automatically. I know what color settings is. I'm going to do that automatically. Now, why did I have JB2A? The reason why I had JB2A is because I also want to install automated, if I can spell it, automated animations. So it's this one here. It's another Ripper one. So we got combat carousel and automated animations. So none of what I'm bringing in actually changes the way Foundry works. There's no automation, even though we got the word automated in this one. I'm going to install that one. It's going to take just a few moments. And again, I've got other things I need to pull in. I'm just going to pull those in. Yes, please. Thank you. Update color lib. Thank you very much. Make sure that's up to date. So that's it. Really easy to pull in. Now, why am I doing that? So carousel combat tracker to make life a little bit easier from a combat point of view for them to be able to see what's going on. The Baldur's Gate interface is just to make, again, a bit of familiarity for them so they know what they're doing. But the automated animations, so it doesn't automate anything. It doesn't automate dice rolls to hit, damage, or any of that. They're going to have to do that manually to learn the rules and learn how that works, okay? Because too much automation, it robs them of that learning experience, which I don't want to do. I do need to. Just because I've got them installed, I need to activate them in this game. So I go to my Manage Modules and say, I want the automated animations. Again, because I haven't got the other two and it needs them, it's going to prompt me to activate those. Add on the Baldur's Gate. Again, I need to activate others. And the Carousel Combat Tracker. Now, I am going to add on... it says I've got the free one. I thought I put the other one on, but obviously I haven't. Save my modules. It's going to reload my game for me because there's some big changes in there. So we do have a selection of mods now, but none of them change functionality. We don't need that. Thank you very much. We can get rid of those. Let's do a bit of configuring of those mods though, because it's really important to actually look at the configurations and make sure they're going to work the way that you want them to. And I would always suggest going through and checking, you know, run a mock combat and things like that to make sure it looks all right. Let's start off with the Carousel Combat Tracker. Attributes, so it's going to show us hit points, armor class value, their movement speed, spell DCs, and that is that legendary actions? I think so, etc. So it tells you what they are there. You can fiddle with them. To be honest, the defaults are great. Change the size of it. I like to have extra large. Shrink my portraits if I've got loads of monsters. So I'm going to leave all of those on. Now, in the playlist for mods, I go through, I've got one on Combat Carousel Tracker. It's kind of an old video now, but it's all still relevant. Ripper's kept it up to date with the various version changes, but it still does exactly what you're expecting it to do. All sorts of things we can do there. All right, now I've saved that. It's got to reload again for that one. Because it's to do with graphics and things. So just reload that. Lovely jubbly. Now, just so you know how that works, if I collect a couple of monsters here and hit combat, up the top here, I've got these two invisible, so it's not showing them. It just enables a shortcut to be able to do all of those. Let's make them not hiding. Come on, why are you... They're very faded out and might be one of the settings that I've got. I'm going to play around with that off screen. You don't need to watch me fiddle around with those things constantly. That's really, really boring. Let's make sure I re-hide those guys. But it gives you this tracker up the top here. A lot easier to see whose go it is when everything's happening, etc. So that's the first one we've got in and we're doing with. The Baldur's Gate inspired hub. Lots of things we can do to change this. And again, I will do those off camera. But you will have seen those before. Have I got a player character I can bring in? Let me select this. It gives us this HUD at the bottom of the screen, which just makes life a bit easier. If I just move that over, they can get to their character. I haven't got it. One of the options I have on is clicking the character sheet. Their weapons and all their items are here. So it's really easy for them to see what they need and stuff like that. So that's great, easy peasy. Little bit of configuration, but I don't need to configure it. It's only personal taste, which is really good. Automated animations is the other one. Now, if you don't know what this is, again, there is a video on it in the playlist of add-ons. It just adds in some animations for certain actions. So like if you swing a sword, you get a little animation of your token swinging a sword. If you swing an axe, you get an axe. But it also does lots of spells and things like that. So just to give you a rough idea, if you're watching this as a completely new DM to Foundry and you go, oh, I want a bit of that. You know, using dagger, flurry of blows, great axe, all of these have got animations. If I look at the Great Club one and do a preview, you can see, look, there's a little animation that shows over the token when they use a Great Club as an item. So that's really nice. It's also got ranged things like bows and crossbows. It's got Eldritch Blast, so you get a nice little spell effect and stuff like that. It just adds a nice little flavour for the characters. Stuff on tokens, so when you do cure wounds or something, you get a spell effect. If you're doing a template such as Call Lightning or something like that, again, you get that. Now you, again, watch the video on that and it will take you through how to set up your things. But pretty much any action you can set an animation for it. So that's what I wanted to do. I want to add those in. It's a little bit shinies. Doesn't affect the actual play. Right. Should we get back to it? Not Cragmore Castle. Thunder Tree. That's where we are. I'm in Thunder Tree. Idiot. All right. So we did number 1 and we did number 2 last time. Number 3 is actually up here just to be slightly awkward and off track for us and just to confuse us, really. What is number 3? So I've got the module. Of course, I've got the module. This is the Brown Horse. So it previously was a tavern. It tells us about, you know, a sign above the door, etc. And it says we've got 4 ash zombies. Now, it does say here about ash zombies. They're blah, 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 blah. Use the zombie stat block, but with an additional trait. Okay, brilliant. So we can do that, can't we? I think we already got zombies. So I'm going to right click and duplicate because it's easier. Then I'm going to left click and then we're just going to edit this one because it's easier. Just easier than starting from scratch. Ash zombie. And I don't care if it looks the same. I'm going to be describing it as the DM to kind of give those clues that it's a little bit different, etc. Alright, so it does say that these zombies can do an ash puff. So we're just reading this bit here. Zoom that in for you a bit. Ugh, perhaps too much. So the first time a zombie takes damage, any living creature within 5 feet of the zombie must succeed in a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. Now, of course, what you absolutely can do if you've got MIDI automations and stuff like that, which we're not doing, is you can automate that, but we're not going to. We're going to create that, and as a DM, I have to remember that they have that. We need to create that ability. We've got our normal stuff here. I'm going to click this plus at the bottom right hand corner and we're going to add a feature. This feature is called Ash Puff. So straight away we are customizing monsters. We're building our own monsters. Hooray! I am going to copy and paste the description from the module into here. Okay, that looks ugly, so I'm going to get rid of the formatting. That's better. So we've got that description in here for us to use. What does it do? Okay, so details. It's a monster feature. That's great. It's not magical. It's not passive. We don't have to worry about that. It does have limited uses. It can only be the first time it takes damage. So I am going to say that it has a limited uses. Each zombie can use it once and never recovers. Okay, so that's what it says. Now, what is the activity we want for this? Well, it says that when it gets hit, the target must make a Constitution saving throw. So we're going to add an activity, and this is going to be a save. There it is under S. Shut up. All right, so it's a save. I can rename this if I want to, but I'm just going to leave it as that. It doesn't need a measured template. Doesn't mean anything. What is the activation? Well, this is effectively this is going to be a reaction, right? You get hit, it gets a reaction, which is basically to explode ash and puff everywhere. It's instantaneous. Does it consume? Yes, it does actually, for me, because it's going to consume this item. Okay, it has 1 charge, so it's going to use an item. Sorry, it's going to use up an item use, and of this item, which has 1 charge. Okay, because I gave Ash Puff 1 charge. We do that in other videos in a bit more detail. If you're kind of really confused about that, not to worry, drop something in the comments and I can perhaps have another little look at that as a separate video. What is the target for this? Any living creature within 5 foot. So we're going to give it a distance of 5 foot. Targets any creature, and it's going to be in a 5 foot emanation. Okay, so we could also just do a circle as well, whichever. Let's do a circle because that's the last one I clicked on. Now, what is the effect of this? Well, this is, because it's a saving throw, we need a Constitution saving throw, and it's a DC of 10, so it's not very difficult. But what happens if you fail it? Gain disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws and ability checks for 1 minute. Ouch. That's quite a lot, isn't it? So we are not doing any damage. We take no damage from this at all. But we do apply an effect. So let's click apply effect, and it's going to apply Ash Puff. What does Ash Puff actually do? Now you can see we've got some options here. We're not going to suspend it. We're not going to apply it to the zombie, but it is going to apply status effects. Now, a disadvantage on attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks for 1 minute. That's not a status condition. Now, you could change this and say, it will give them a level of exhaustion. If you wanted to do that, you know, boom, and it's going to bump that up. So sometimes in the modules, without getting really complicated, it can be a little bit awkward to remember stuff. In this instance, we're going to apply as it is per the module. It's going to put this it's going to put this effect onto the target, or any target that's within there and fails its saving throw, but it's not actually going to do anything here. How long does it last? 1 minute. So that's 60 seconds. We can put that in there. That's no problem. And what about changes? And this is where you can add in changes for it. So advantage and disadvantage and things like that. Now, again, in 13, I'm not 100% sure what each one of them are. You can type in your attribute key there and do it. I will do that off screen when I've remembered what that is. And it should, in theory, automatically give them advantage and disadvantage. But again, we don't have automation in there. For this purpose, I'm more than happy for it to just give them the effect of Ash Puff, because I know what Ash Puff means. I've got the module in front of me for that. There we go. So we now have a new Ash Zombie with a new Ash Puff ability. Fantastic. All right, so we did that. That was nice and easy, wasn't it? But how many of them were there? 4 of them lurk in the shadows of this building, slumped against the walls or under the bar. When a living creature enters, they groan, climb to their feet, spending half their speed because they're going to be prone. So we want 4 of them, and they're going to be prone. Easy. They're going to be under A for Ash Zombie. We're going to slap 1, 2, 3, and 4. Why not? They are all going to be prone, of course. Let's do that. There we go. Prone. Prone, prone, and prone. And what I'm going to do is hello, I didn't make that one prone. Prone, thank you. I'm going to make them all just hide them, because what I don't want is a character opens the door and they see the stuff before I've had a chance as the DM to describe what's there, because that's the way I choose to run it. You are more than welcome to do it differently and just have the tokens so they can see them. They open the door, go, oh, what's that laying on the floor? And they can react to it naturally. That's not the way I tend to do it. Pros and cons, you know. No one's more right than anybody else. He said defensively. Okie dokie. That's it in here. Some XP. Woohoo. And then we're on to number 4. So this is going to be, number 4 is going to be the Redoth. Comes to Thunder Tree. He's a gaunt, white-bearded human. Okay, now does it tell me what to use for his token? It normally says things like, oh, use this for him. Nope, it doesn't. That's brilliant. So we're just going to pick a random person for that. Now, he's supposed to be a druid, so let's see if we can find a druidy person to use for that. Now, what I normally do for NPCs that have classes, for, you know, oh, you're a druid, you're a wizard, etc. I'd like to make them as actual proper characters. And I think we did that for... what's his name? I might put him under NPCs. Yeah, Lano. So we made Lano into a proper character for that. And we can do exactly the same with this, but we haven't got any stats for this individual. What I have done, though, is I use Midjourney to create most of my graphics and stuff like that, because I can't do art. that simple. So I've decided to just spam one, and I got this dude here, so that's going to be my geezer for this. I really wish I had Omnisearch on. I say it every single one, and I might put that on just because it makes my life easier. But how do we find a druid in here? Actors, because as was pointed out, and I've forgotten who it was. Who was it last time who pointed out the fact that if you go to the actors one, all the monsters are in grouped properly and in alphabetical order. Makes life a lot better. Let's take this druid here. We're going to slap him out. Shouldn't have done that. Should have made sure he was dropped over here. Yeah, it's dropped him down here. Let's edit him over here. Make sure we're getting it correct. Now, he is CR2. It doesn't say anything in the module about what level he is, but they're not supposed to fight him. But yeah, any of you who's DM'd, you will know that what they're supposed to and not supposed to do is kind of irrelevant to what they want to do. There's my Radoth. I'm going to bring him in. So I've got him as a... I've got his image for that. But I mentioned this before, portrait and token are different. So I do want to... hello? Can I update that? Why is it... That's unexpected. Don't want to do that. I want to go to my Phandelver, go to my packs, go to my tokens, and I actually sensibly named him what he actually is. There he is. Now I can bring that in. Update. There we go. So now when I drag him out, boop, he's got the correct image and everything else. But we don't want him there. He was area 4, wasn't he? He was down here. So let's slap him out. Oh, let's rename him. Let's rename him. Got to give him his correct name, or otherwise I'll get really confused. There we go. And want to update that token as well to make sure that we've got Radoth the Druid. Brilliant. So that when I slap him out, there he is. Boom. And again, what I like to do for me is I like to display the name for the owner so that I can remember what this individual's actually called. Because I'm rubbish otherwise. Again, you know, if you've DM'd a number of times, you know there's nothing worse than forgetting what an NPC's name is. I'm just going to turn off the Baldur's Gate bar down the bottom there. We don't need it. All right, so we've got him. What does it actually say about him? A gaunt white-bearded man who doesn't use blah, blah, blah. He's adept at staying away from the ash zombies that overrun the village, as well as avoiding da-da-da-da-da. He warns the characters that all of the threats suggests they leave Thundertree. Da-da-da-da-da. They can just have a chat with him. Talks about the Emerald Conclave. That's it. And this is what I mean about this adventure. It's very introductory. It's very shallow in lots of ways. I've run it a few times. The Shattered Obelisk version has more detail. They've kind of overhauled it a bit and filled a bit more in. So for a first time DM, it's a really good adventure because it's quite simple, it's quite linear, it's quite flat. For an experienced group of players, they probably will find it very, very flat and linear unless the DM adds lots of extras to it. For new players, new DMs, pretty much perfect. I think that's my take on it. All right, I'm going to stick him over here on this stuff, and he's going to hover there, unless they actually break into his house because it's locked, or rather they've got to smash the door down. That's absolutely fine. They can see him when they open that door. All right, number 5. The Blighted Farmhouse, 8 Twig Blights. That's it. We're going to have 8 Twig Blights. Really simple. Didn't want to do that. Drag that over there out the way. Where are my Twig Blights? 1, 2, and I said about this last time. If you select one, Control C. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Job done. That's it. It's so simple, some of these. Really don't need to worry about them. Number 6 then, the ruined store. Where's number 6? Oh, that's here. So the ruined store here. Again, just as a reminder, we did do all of the walls and stuff like that, didn't we? So that's all good. The ruined store. What's going on here? 2 giant spiders. Webs fill 2 squares. North doorway. Difficult terrain. Gives you some rules about what to do about that. A little bit more interesting with just another room with a monster to squish, but not very much so. So 2 giant spiders are going to be hovering around in here. So once again, we can go to our compendium, go to our actors, and what are giant spiders under? Are they, I mean, that's giants. Are they monstrosities? Are they? Do you know what? Giant vulture, giant, yeah, phase spiders are under here. This is embarrassing, isn't it? I've been, how many years experience do I have, and I can't remember where to find anything. Are they possibly, no, I shouldn't be aberrations, surely. Nope. So it's great been having them in this order. Are they beasts? Giant spiders are beasts, yeah. There we go. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Well done, Igla. Just some giant things are aberrations. Some giant things are are beasts. But that does make sense, doesn't it? All right, so we're going to slap those in there. Now, what does it say about? Does it say that basically they're hiding? I imagine it. They are. They hide on the inner walls, not visible from outside. Okay. So, I mean, in fairness, you could argue that they're not visible from outside. Well, yeah, fair enough, because the walls will hide them. I'm going to... Don't draw a wall, you idiot. I'm actually going to move this one over here. So, technically, yeah, they're not visible from outside because we've got walls. Okay, and if they wander around and peer into the building, then they'll be able to see them, and those giant spiders will attack. Okay, it talks about their poison and everything else. We don't need to worry about that because we've got the monsters with all the stats in. There is some treasure here. The body wears studded leather armor and a short sword and a potion of healing in a belt pouch. Okay, let's just make sure we've got those added into our general thing here. Now, I mean, some of these are really simple, of course, but let's make sure they're easy. If we've got a short sword in here already, we haven't. Let's find a short sword. So we're going to go Player's Handbook. We're going to go to Equipment. We're going to look at Weapons, Simple Weapons. Martial Weapon. Done it again. We're just going to slap that over there. And there was also that studded leather armor, wasn't there? So let's chuck that over there as well. And then it talked about a potion of healing. And we already have a potion of healing. So that's really simple. And again, you know, I don't need to do that. I can just go and grab those items from the PHB whenever they do it. Just for ease, I've got them there. Just whack. Just chuck them straight onto their character sheets. Nice and simple job done. All right, anything else we need to know about this area? Probably not. So we are on Dragon's Tower. Yeah, I mean, the numbering order is a bit weird, isn't it? 1, 2, 3 up there, 4, 5, 6, 7 over here. And I think they've just gone from left to right, whereas most of them go from top to bottom. So 6 is here, 7's up there, then 8's down here. But we're on number 7. Now, this is one of the areas that I find a little bit strange with this whole dragon thing, but there we go. Okay, so it was formerly home of a wizard who was killed fighting ash zombies that overran Thunder Tree 30 years ago. And that's one of the things that doesn't quite make sense. One of the reasons they come to Thunder Tree is when they rescue somebody from the Red Brands. I forgot her name. She talks about relatives from Thunder Tree and going to retrieve an item. This says 30 years ago. And that bit of dialogue that you have with the woman suggests that it's quite a recent event. It's just, it misaligns. It doesn't really kind of work very well. But hey ho, whatever. Doesn't matter. All right, so top of the hill stands blah, 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 blah. Corpses of 2 hideous giant spiders are sprawled near the edge of the pathway. Now, we talked about that, didn't we? Here's the corpses here. And if you remember, we had that tile that we could use to basically hit the corpses. Don't see the point in this instance. A young green dragon named Venomfang has recently claimed the tower. So we need a young green dragon. Just to, you know, make me have to find the dragon. Why? Young green dragon. Bam. That was easy. I can do that one, right? I can manage it. Oh, default to that, please. All right. So it does talk about young green dragon. He's named Venomfang. It's chucked him at the bottom. I need to move these giant spiders. These should be in, not in NPCs. They should be in monsters. I don't actually need 2 of them. I'm just going to fix that actually, because I dragged them both out separately and it put both of them into there, which I don't want to do. I want to have the one version in there. They're a different colour. I want to have a different. I want the same. You know, 1 actor, 2 tokens. That's what I want. I don't want to overcrowd things. I know what I'm saying. I just can't talk. Right, chuck you into monsters as well, because for all intents and purposes you're a monster. And just like before, we're going to come in and we're going to rename him Venomfang, which is a pretty cool name actually. I mean, you know, bit twee I suppose, but now it says about he recently claimed the tower, having passed over Thunder Tree while searching the Neverwinter Wood for a suitable lair. The giant spider corpses, blah 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 blah. Talks about the tower, 40-foot high ceilings, 5-foot staircase. Yep. Venomfang does not want to give up such a promising lair, but if they reduce him to half his hit points, basically he will naff off. So that's easy. Talks about the cottage next to it. Nothing of value. They make a lot of noise. The dragon hears them, gets itself ready for a fight. But there is some treasure. So really, really basic kind of things. Again, just make sure I'm using the right, pulling the right one out there. It's a really, really basic encounter. It's pretty much set up for, oh yeah, you've started playing Dungeons and Dragons. There has to be a dragon. We've got to chuck one in, and its only purpose is for you to fight it. That's it. And it's really, really 2-dimensional. All right, so treasure though. Again, going to be really straightforward doing this. A scroll of Misty Step. We might already have that. No, we don't. So do you remember how we do this? We go to the player's handbook. Actually, we can just go straight to spells, of course. We can find Misty Step. I can never remember what level any of these are. Of course, it's not. It's going to be 2nd level, isn't it? Boop, 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 boop. Misty Step. Now, somebody was saying, yeah, create scroll. I tried doing that before and it wouldn't let me create scroll directly from there. Not quite sure why. It is now. Create scroll. There it is, Misty Step. Just make sure it's in the right folder. So we've got our Misty Step there. And a scroll of Lightning Bolt, which is a bit powerful for this level power T to picking up. But I don't have a problem because it's a scroll. You're going to get 1 chance with it. So right click, create scroll. There we go. Bosh, got my lightning scroll. That's in there as well. So it says you have, there's some coins. There's 4 silver goblets set with moonstones. Do we have anything like that? We've got a chalice. Let's create one. Remember, we click on the item on there to create one. This is loot. Create an item, loot. It called it silver goblin. Silver goblet. All right, I'll find an image for it later. Can't be bothered to do it right now because nobody wants to watch me do that. They're worth 60 gold each. There's actually quite a lot of loot here. You know, when you start adding this up, the party actually do pretty well on this. So there's silver goblet. I'll find that later. 4 of them worth 60 gold each. Yeah. Venomfang spends much of his time greedily admiring his loot. I mean, it's pretty crap, for it's mostly silver coins and you know, and stuff like that. But hey, we all started somewhere. Now, the dragon has barely noticed the most interesting item in his hoard beneath the coins is a rusty old battle axe of dwarven manufacture. Runes in Dwarvish on the hacks read Hugh, and the rust is misleading. This is Hugh, a battle axe +1. Misty Step level 2. Thank you, Iglo. I did get there. I should just look at the chat much more frequently, because you guys know this stuff. It's too much to remember, right? I'm going to use the excuse that I'm old. So we want to create this battle axe +1 that's called Hugh. Now, it's slightly more interesting that, if I find the right bit. So, Hugh is a +1 battle axe that deals maximum damage when the wielder hits a plant or an object made of wood. Now, if you've been following this channel for quite a long time, one of the first things I tried to automate as an interesting item was exactly this. It was Hugh's battle axe. Yeah, the chat is quiet today, Igla. It is. Now, in fairness, that is very possible because I forgot to schedule it, and I noticed about 2 hours before the live stream that I hadn't actually scheduled it. So I suspect some people either thought I was missing this week or just forgot about it. So that's totally on me. Being professional as always. I've never pretended I was any good at this. Which is good, because it'd make me a liar. So we did automate that. Now that was back in version 11 of Foundry. So things are a bit different now. We used builder bonus and all sorts of things like that. Because we're not using automations, this is suddenly really, really easy to do. We're just going to give it a +1 battle axe and put that in the description. So let's find a +1 battle axe. Again, we can go into Player's Handbook. In fact, we go into the Dungeon Master's Guide. We can go to Equipment. We can go to Weapons. And just scrolling through here, we can find we've got all of these really interesting things. Now, what we're not going to find is a +1 battle axe. Okay, because it works differently now, just to keep everybody confused. What you can see is down here you've got weapon +1, +2, +3, because you put them together, you combine things together in version 13, or rather in the D&D 2024. So we need a normal battle axe that we then apply that to. Now the reason why they did that is because then they need an entry for a normal battle axe and an entry for this, for the weapon thing, rather than having battle axe +1, +2, +3, +4. Suddenly you've got loads and loads of different items. So we're not going to do that. Player's Handbook, Equipment. Always leave things open just to confuse me. Weapons, we want the martial, we want that battle axe. So if I go to my items, I'm going to drop in that battle axe. Actually, I'd like to stick it at the bottom, but never mind. I've got that battle axe. And if I remember correctly, when we do this, it says make magic items with templates. So magic items can often come with a lot of variants, for example, +1 armor, etc., etc. Open an item like that. Open an item like armor +1, +2. Whoops, sorry. And change the effects tab. Okay. And drag your effect onto the item. So, like that? No? Oh, I think it means just drag that onto there. So I can't remember how this works because I create everything from scratch normally, except not in this case. Oh, it's from there, you absolute idiot. Right. So I'm not sure if you saw that. That went really quick then. So all I did was select that it's a +1 from this effects tab, drop it onto this effects tab. There it is. It's now a weapon +1, and that should update everything we need to automatically. Yeah. I don't want those on there. Let's remove all of those and do that again. All right. So that we can do that like a sensible human being. Right. if we drag weapon +1 onto there we go. That's what we wanted to do. Okay, +1 weapon. Now I did delete the activity for it, which is going to be a normal attack. So I've really botched that one up, haven't I? Let's delete it. Wasn't difficult. Let's I mean, braining is hard, right? Let's grab that battle axe again. Stick into items. I spent all day doing decorating and my brain. So normally we've got the normal attacks there, right? Boom. Weapon +1 activity, and we've got our attack in there, and that should in theory do everything we need it to do by default. We can double check that actually by, it won't be in there. Should we check to make sure that this is now a +1 item? Let's do that. Let's drag out this individual. We didn't update the name of this battle axe. Let's do that. This is Hugh. And it says it there. Right, so it says the +1 to hit and the D8 +1. I was looking under the details and I couldn't see the bonuses here. And it's because it prints them under the description for us. So once we've chuck in Hugh, there he is. Once we chuck in Hugh, we should see that says battle axe +1 and it's D8 +1. So I'm happy that that's fine. That's worked. Lovely jubbly. That's what we want. Right. Thank you, Nars. Appreciate that. Let's get rid of all of that. Lovely. That was a lot more effort than it should have been, shouldn't it? Wasn't it? You know, but again, jumping between different versions and stuff like that, it gets a bit confusing. It's like, oh, how do I do that? And of course, I've got a live game running in version 12, and I did actually manage to do a bit of building of Phandelver, building of Curse of Strahd today. I managed to sneak in about an hour of that to try and get that sort of sorted. And then you switch to version 13 and things are different. That's the only excuse I've got. I'm sticking with it. All right. So apart from Hugh, now we do want to update that description, don't we? So I'm copying and pasting because that's easier. Where was Hugh? There you are, under H. And I'm going to update the description for Hugh. Now it's got rid of the rest of it, but that's fine. Again, horrible formatting. That's going to clear that formatting. Save. Brilliant. It's +1 battle axe. It tells you what it does, etc. That's all in there. Perfect. That's all I need. Good stuff. Right. That is so the whole of this area here is just fight the dragon. That's it. All right. Area 8. That took far longer than it should have done. Far longer than it should have done. The old smithy. 2 ash zombies. Anything else? That's it. Not even any treasure. Really easy for this one. I mean, you know, why are they going to bother exploring this place? It's pretty pants. They would stick one of those in there and one of those in there. And again, they are both prone. So let's make sure that they are prone. Now, this is another one where they have to smash down the door. I'm not going to hide those tokens. If they smash down the door, it's going to wake those zombies up. They're going to see them straight away. So as far as I'm concerned, that is good and that is done. Herbalist shop number 9. All right, have we got anything else going on here? This was a herb and alchemy shop belonging to the family of Myrna. That was it. It was Myrna. Myrna's the one. The real treasure is the XP we gained along the way. Yes, Igla, it is. I use milestones. I'm not a fan of the parties just going off piste and just kill anything that's worth XP to get that level. It can kind of create that. So I tend to do milestones rather than anything else. So I would be going through and looking at that and rebalancing to say, well, if you clear Thunder Tree, if you come here and you retrieve this thing, yeah, you use them as well. Yeah, then I'd be going, right, I don't care how many monsters you killed or not. If you stealth all the way in and you retrieve that necklace and return it to Myrna, that's what you get your XP for. It doesn't matter if you slaughter all the monsters. It doesn't matter if you sneak in. or otherwise rogues get a real rough ride, don't they? Sort of like, oh, I've got all this sneaking power, but the party don't ever want me to use it because they want to fight everything for XP, and I think it's just a bit of a shame. You know, and wizards with, you know, taking the invisibility spell, and then it's like, well, what's the point in that? Apart from to gain surprise in combat, it doesn't really necessarily help in combat situations. So anyway, that's just my little personal rant on that. So, Rune Shop, all the reagents and concoctions, blah, but so there's nothing here apart from a gold necklace with a fine emerald pendant. This is area 9, wasn't it? Just checking the herbalist shop. That's this area here. There's nothing here at all apart from that. Now, should we create that pendant? We probably should, shouldn't we? So let's create that item. Let's create it. It is loot. Because they probably won't return it unless they realise it's tied to XP. They'll probably just nick it. What are we calling it? Sorry, I've lost the place. I've changed windows. There is a gold, a fine emerald pendant. Let's call it that. Now, what I would say to the players is when Myrna is talking about coming here to get it, I would have her specifically refer to it as a fine emerald pendant. That way the party are more likely to go, hang on a minute, that's a fine emerald pendant. I've heard that before. Is that what we're supposed to be looking for? Much more likely to make that connection as opposed to just going, woo, loot. And to be honest, it's worth 200 gold. You know, that might be worth having for them. Right, so that's number 9. 10, the town square. So we've got a bit of a description here, of course. The leaning statue, blah, blah, blah. Really exciting. A character who studies it recognises, blah, blah, blah. That's it. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do at area 10. Area 11, we've got 5 ash zombies. Sorry, I keep hovering over that and it just bumps up the pop-up, of course, which is probably really annoying for you trying to look at the writing. Former members of the garrison, they still wear the remnants of their blah, 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 blah. So 5 ash zombies, area 11. Again, where are we? We're up here. Ah, yes, this is, yes, absolutely. I remember this now. Now, I am going to do quite a few changes and modifications to the way that I run this, because as I said, it's quite linear. How many was it? 5. I've lost count already. And they're all going to be prone as well. Oh, that's right. Do them one at a time. Sorry, I'm doing that thing where I can't talk and click buttons because I can't. There we go. Right, okay, so we've slapped those in there and there'll be some treasure with it. Yeah, because I said this is kind of such a flat module. And also, this is a live game now, and what I don't want is any of my players kind of watching a video like this and going, I know exactly what's going to happen, because they don't, because I will change it. And if I get the inkling that they know what's going on, then I will change things significantly. And that's really hard to do. If you're a new DM, don't do that. Stick to the module as it is as best you can. But be expecting them to do the unexpected, because they will. They will do things you don't want them to do, especially if you've got a bard in the party. There's a young dragon there. He will try to charm it. He will try to do unpleasant things with it, because that's what bards do, apparently. According to the memes, anyway. So, yeah, try and stick to it. Try not to do too many changes and stuff unless you have to, until you're comfortable as a DM. I'm comfortable enough now, after many years of experience, is I can pretty much roll with any punches they want to throw at me. I can just deal with that and get them back on track, or just take it down a completely different road if that's what's happening. All right, back to this. Interior of the building, blah, 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 blah. It's just a description. There's not even any treasure here. That's it. It's just a fight. What did it say about these scraps of armour? Don't include their armour class. Improve their armour class. Good, just checking. The Weaver's Cottage. 6 twig blights. It's a bit repetitive, isn't it? Twig blights, ash zombies. Twig blights, ash zombies. 6 twig blights lurk in the thicket south of the ruin of number 12. Where's number 12? So this is the thicket south of here. I need my twig blights under T. Come on, you idiot. And again, because I can't be bothered, I'm going to, again, because they're twig blights and they start off effectively stealth. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. Done. It's that easy. Developments. Loud noises alert the cultists in area 13. Ooh, we got something different. Hurrah. Okay. A group calling itself the Cult of the Dragon. Well, that's original, isn't it? I mean, give them a better name, please. Seeks to forge an alliance with powerful dragons of the Sword Coast. Towards that end, 4 cultists recently tracked a green dragon to Thunder Tree and are waiting the right moment to approach the dragon and become its dinner. They've been spying on it from afar, trying to gauge its demeanour and its needs. So the doors are barred from the inside, requiring DC 20 checks for this. So let's make sure we got those doors locked. Yes, we have. And I think there was somewhere else in the module that mentioned about all the doors being stuck and things like that anyway. That's good. The shutters are barred from the inside, can be forced with a successful check. So there were windows here. Yeah, now they just said that these are barred. Shutters are barred from the inside. That would suggest that these windows, you can't see through them. So I'm going to change those to none and none, which effectively makes that a normal wall, right? So it restricts movement, yes. And I didn't mean to do none, did I? I meant normal and normal. So normally block light, normally block sight. So it's just changing them into being normal walls. Sorry, not none. But I'm not just drawing a wall across there, because if they do manage to smash one open, I can just delete that little bit of wall. Suddenly it's a hole. They can go through it. Okay, if that makes sense. Hope that did. I'm sure it did. All right. What other exciting things have we got going on? So there's 6 human cultists, 4 stand guard, 2 in each room, while the others, that'll be 2, rest in the larger chamber. Okay, so let's find where have we got cultists? So I think cultists is actually a thing. Yeah, 1/8 of a thingy. We haven't got cultists in here yet, have we? And we're going to drop them into monsters, because effectively they are. I just want to check I didn't jump any into NPCs. No, I didn't. So here we go again. We're going to go back to our Dungeon Master's Guide. Find our act. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want that. I want the monster manual actors. And under humanoid, can we find cultists? Yes, we can. Yes, easy peasy. And we want normal cultists, not fanatics. All right, we're not going to go nuts with this. So there they are. So there's 2 in each room on guard. So you're going to go there. You're going to go there. We're going to stick you down here on guard. You're on guard. And then there's 2 that are just hanging out. I don't know, sitting on the bed together playing cards. And it's that kind of little detail that they don't put in a lot of the official modules and things like that. When you break into the room, what are they doing? Are they just sitting there doing nothing? What are these on guard from? Why are these 2 on guard when these 2 are sitting here? Surely they can all hear, right? So they're all kind of on guard anyway. But there we go. Whatever. It doesn't make logical sense sometimes. They wear black cloaks to resemble dragon wings, etc. So we can just describe those, or we can get a better image for them. I'm not going to get a better image for them now, of course. Bit about role-playing the cultists. Don't need to worry about that. Treasure. In the main room. So one of them's called Fabric. Should we actually call one of them Fabric to make that easier? Can't be bothered. We might do that. 3 diamonds worth 100 gold each. He also carries a potion of flying. So, I mean, they do like to throw away some nice treasure in this module. Pretty sure we haven't got a potion of flying. No, we haven't. So again, we're going to go back to the Dungeon Master's Guide. We're going to go to the equipment from the Dungeon Master's Guide. We want... Do I want that? Not the monster manual, not that. It's under treasure. I'm having a moment. Consumables. There it is. Potion of flying. The potion of flying. There we go. Oh, blimey. Switch it back to my my things there. So potion of flying. Slap that in there. Nice and easy. So again, these modules throw together so quickly when you're doing that. When when you're doing it like this, and we haven't got to worry about automating everything. And then it goes on to Wyvern Tor. So that's the whole of this scene done. It is fight zombies, possibly speak to a druid, fight some spiders, fight a dragon, fight some more zombies and twig blights and things like that. Maybe have a chat with cultists, but so there's a roleplay opportunity with the cultists and the dragon, and there's a roleplay opportunity with the druid. But you saw from the module that actually it's kind of like, oh yeah, sometimes there's a druid here and he knows this and this. That's it. That's all it gives you. So as a new DM, that's what is worrying about this module, is the fact it's so skinny on those kind of details. It doesn't give you any flavour for the characters. It doesn't really... It tells you why the cultists are there, but it's flat. Very flat, I think. But there we go. That's my opinion. Yeah, I'm running it. Yeah, so, it's a starting point, isn't it? Rather than being the complete thing. All right, what else do I need to do here? One thing I definitely want to do is hide that grid, because we don't want ugly grids all over the place. There we go. The grid's hidden. Much nicer for looking at without that grid. And do I want to put any kind of weather effects on Thunder Tree? Now, I could do. Go to Ambience, and I might put autumn leaves on here when they kick in. There we go. Very small little autumn leaves. They're starting up now. So it just adds a little bit of motion to the scene. Nothing too fantastic. It's a big map, this one. Relatively. I mean, compared to things like Strahd's Castle and things like that, it's a small map, but it's all relevant, isn't it? But it's nice to remember that we've got those kind of things. So that is done. Now, the next one in the module, of course, was Wyvern Tor. We already did Wyvern Tor. So that's completed. And then it's Cragmore Castle. We already did Cragmore Castle. And that is the only thing left in the module that we haven't done in this chapter is Connieberry and Agatha's Lair. And I haven't got any maps for that prepared, but I will do, because when I ran this last time, you go to Connieberry, and there's no map for it in it. In fact, we can look at it right here. We got this here, dealing with Agatha, and then it goes to Old Owl Well. This entire encounter is like, just over a page worth of stuff, and there's no map. There's no real details about Connieberry. There's a bit about the lair and things like that. That can be a major, really, really good encounter if you just jazz it up a bit. So we will do that. I will be putting in a map for Connieberry, and I might put in some extra interesting things about Connieberry rather than it just being like, oh yeah, you pass through it and you don't even get to see a picture of it. So we'll be doing that. And for Agatha as well, we need an image for Agatha rather than just saying, oh yeah, deal with Agatha, because... it doesn't even give you the stats. It doesn't even tell you. Those links I said about, you hover over it and it pops up and it's driving me nuts. So it talks about, what she does, and it mentions that she's a banshee, but it doesn't give you stats for it, knowing full well that a banshee will rip them to pieces. But if they decide to attack it, which would be stupid, you've got to give them the opportunity to be stupid, right? So we need a banshee. And I've just realised searching the actors is just so much easier. I'm an absolute idiot. Now I'm going to put her in as an NPC rather than a monster, because she's a major kind of character in the way that I run it. So first of all, I'm going to rename her Agatha so that we're ready for that scene. Now you will notice that she is CR4. Now effectively the way this works, and a lot of people have issues with the CR rating, so the which is effectively the difficulty rating. The way I look at it as a very rough guide is if you've got a CR 1/4, that means you know, it's a quarter of the strength of a four strong party that are first level. No, sorry, it's the strength of. Oh dear Lord, I'm getting myself really muddled up. It's a bit annoying, but essentially the way I look at it, I kind of go, if this is a CR4 monster, it needs 4 characters of 4th level realistically to take her on. Okay, so they're going to be like 2nd level here. This is going to be a really dangerous fight for them to have. She's got as many hit points as the whole party has to put together and things like that, and she's got some pretty horrific things that happen. But it's not undoable, especially if they've gone to Thunder Tree first and picked up a lot of that loot. What kind of loot did we find here? We found +1 battle axe. We found potions of flying, ring of protection, potions of healing. We've got scrolls of lightning bolt, and you know, and things like that. So they've already picked up some pretty decent equipment that would assist with that. Depending how many magic items you give out will massively impact what CR creatures your party can handle. So it's a really, really rough guide, but it does talk about it in the Dungeon Master's Guide. It gives you a much better idea, a much better description of how CR is supposed to work. And in the 2024 rules, it is much better than the 2014 rules, but it's still very much a guide, very much a guide. If you've got experienced players who know how to max min their characters, you're going to have to send them significantly harder challenges than you are a party of people who've never played before. Just, that's the way it is. Experienced players will run circles around your monsters, and they will pick spells that they know that they can use just to wind you up. Bastards. I love it when players are inventive though. All right, we're pretty much out of time. Yeah, we are. In fact, pretty much spot on time. So we have completed all of that. We've only got Agatha's Lair to do. What comes after Agatha's Lair, I hear you cry. Just looking back at the module, we're on part 3. Part 4, sorry about that, is Wave Echo Cave itself. So we're pretty much done. Well, you know, nearly. We're getting there. It's going to take a little bit longer to do Wave Echo Cave. So we need to do Connerberry and Agatha's Lair, then we do Wave Echo Cave, then we can go back and go, right, what are we not happy with, what do we want to improve, add stuff in, have we got additional scenes for when they're traveling between A and B, what about if they camp in the wilderness, do we want a campsite scene, all things that in face-to-face you really don't have to worry about because you don't need battle maps and stuff for, but on Foundry I think it's nice for them to have something to look at while they're traveling. Now, I don't think I did it in this one. No, I didn't. I've got maps. You know, they're walking around Phandelver. At least they've got a map to look at. I'm still tempted to put some maps in for the shops and things like that. But you could do it all from here. Here's the map of Phandelver, and everything in Phandelver you could role play like you would if you were face-to-face, just with the map up. It works. It really, really does work. It just doesn't give them anything pretty to look at. Okie dokie. I'm going to end it. I promise. That's it. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you for watching. Do appreciate it. Nice to have you on board, Igla. Our regular Sunday evening together. I really appreciate that, mate. And to the others who are watching and silent in the chat, you don't have to be verbose. That's absolutely fine. Take care. I will see you next week as we do Connerberry and Agatha's Lair. And yeah, moving forwards, getting there. Thank you for watching. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Auf Wiedersehen. Yes, indeed.